Pacific Ocean is calm tonight. Ships drift under starlit skies. Jets patrol empty air. Satellites glide silently above. But tensions rise, signals are intercepted, warnings ignored. And then, one spark breaks the silence. A single missile streaks upward from the South China Sea. In seconds, the world's most important ocean becomes a battlefield. This is what might happen if China and the United States went to war over the Pacific. The war doesn't begin with a declaration. It begins with confusion. A disputed island, a naval collision, a sudden missile test mistaken for an attack in the Pacific, thousands of miles of ocean, separate forces that constantly watch each other, track each other, shadow each other. One miscalculation is all it takes. At 2:13 local time, a U.S. reconnaissance aircraft is locked onto by a Chinese air defense system. Moments later, a missile launches. The aircraft disappears from radar. The United States responds with a precision strike on the launcher. China retaliates. The chain reaction begins. By sunrise, both sides activate full military readiness. Carrier groups move. Bombers take flight. Submarines rise from the depths. The Pacific, the world's largest and most strategic ocean, becomes the center of the most dangerous conflict in modern history. To understand this war, we must understand the battlefield. The Pacific isn't just water. It is shipping routes, island chains, choke points, and surveillance networks. A vast chessboard stretching from California to Shanghai. China's strategy is simple. Control the seas close to its borders. Deny the U.S. Navy access. Dominate the South China Sea and First Island chain. The United States' strategy is the opposite. Ensure freedom of navigation. Maintain alliances with Japan, South Korea, the Philippines, and Australia. Project power deep into the Indo-Pacific. Two doctrines, impossible to reconcile, colliding over one ocean. The first hours are decisive. Hypersonic missiles streak across the sky at Mach 10, too fast for most defenses to stop. China targets U.S. carriers, air bases in Guam, and radar stations across the Pacific. Massive waves of DF-21D and DF-26 anti-ship missiles fly toward moving naval groups. The United States strikes back using stealth. B-21 bombers launch from bases beyond China's reach, slipping through radar nets. Submarines fire Tomahawk missiles at coastal batteries and command posts. The war becomes a test of technology. Precision versus stealth. Speed versus information. Saturation assaults versus layered defense. The skies fill with drones, hundreds. They jam radars, blind sensors, and confuse missiles. Modern war depends on space. GPS, communication, surveillance. Without satellites, navies are blind. Missiles cannot navigate. Jets lose coordination. Both nations know this. Both nations act. Anti-satellite missiles streak upward from mobile launchers. Small kinetic interceptors collide with satellites at tens of thousands of kilometers per hour. Explosions ripple through space, silent but catastrophic. Within hours, debris fields spread across orbit. GPS signals fail, drones crash, missiles miss their targets. A modern technological war begins sliding into darkness. The world watches as two superpowers enter a conflict neither fully controls. Few images define naval power like the aircraft carrier, floating air bases, symbols of projection and vulnerability. The U.S. deploys multiple carrier strike groups. China fields its own carriers, protected by layers of destroyers, frigates, and shore-based missiles. Carrier aircraft engage in the largest air battles since World War II. Fought over thousands of miles of ocean long-range missiles clash mid-air. Electronic warfare blinds radars, Autonomous drones dogfight at hypersonic speeds. Both sides take heavy losses. Carriers are damaged. Jets are downed. Ocean becomes a graveyard of burning metal. The islands of the Pacific become the most contested ground on Earth. Guam, Okinawa, Taiwan, the Spratly Islands. Each outpost becomes a fortress. Each runway becomes priceless. Whoever controls the islands controls the sky. Whoever controls the sky controls the sea. Marines, paratroopers, and special forces clash in brutal, close-quarters combat. Missile bases change hands. Runways are cratered, repaired, cratered again. Civilians flee. Supply ships fight through submarine-infested waters. Both sides bleed resources at an unsustainable rate. A war of distance becomes a war of attrition. But the true power in the Pacific lies beneath the waves. U.S. Virginia-class submarines prowl silently, armed with cruise missiles capable of striking targets hundreds of miles inland. China's Type 093 and Type 095 submarines stalk them, equipped with advanced torpedoes and anti-ship missiles. In the cold darkness of the deep, sonar pings echo like distant thunder. The submariners know one mistake means instant death. Undersea, there is no retreat, only detection or destruction. Submerged battles decide the fates of surface fleets. A single submarine can sink billions of dollars of equipment or end thousands of lives. Wars are fought with money as much as missiles. Global trade halts, factory output collapses. Energy routes are cut. Stock markets crash worldwide. Insurers refuse to cover ships crossing the Pacific. Airlines go bankrupt. Tech companies lose access to rare earth metals. Millions lose their jobs. The shockwave spreads. Europe's economy contracts. Africa's supply chains break. South America plunges into recession. This is no longer a regional war. It is a global crisis, and both combatants feel the strain. China loses crucial imports. The U.S. faces shortages and inflation. As losses mount, commanders whisper about the unthinkable. Both nations possess nuclear weapons. Both claim they would use them only in defense. Both fear the other might strike first. The world holds its breath. One misinterpreted radar signal could end civilization. Military planners scramble to keep escalation controlled. Diplomats plead for calm. Global leaders call for ceasefire. The Pacific War teeters on the edge of a far darker reality. Weeks pass. Neither side gains decisive control. Missiles run low. Fleets suffer damage. Economies strain. Both nations face the truth. A war over the Pacific cannot be won. Not by China. Not by the United States. Not by anyone. The conflict ends not with victory, but with exhaustion. A ceasefire. Shaky negotiations. A silent acknowledgement of mutual devastation. The Pacific returns to calm waters. But nothing is the same. War in the Pacific would reshape the world, not just with fire, but with fear. Two powers. One ocean. A conflict no nation and no civilization could afford to fight. In the end, the true enemy is not geography, ideology, or technology. It is the illusion that war between modern superpowers could ever be controlled or survived.